Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and the Uta Star deck comes out in a couple of days, at least as of recording this video. It's going to be the 11th star deck for the One Piece card game, and it revolves around the green film package, which has been a pretty good package in this card game already, but it hasn't really had a leader to call its own, so now we do have it with this Uta leader, and I'm really excited to go over it and some example deck lists as well. So we're going to talk about the new cards that come with it. There aren't a lot, there's a lot of reprints in the star deck, and then we're going to go over two example builds, and I'm also going to show off just what you get in the box in case you're wondering about that. You can check it out at the timestamp below, but we're going to go on into the video itself. We're going to start off with the leader of this deck. So it is Uta. It's a film leader, and it says Dawn ×1 when attacking once per turn, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a film card, add it to your hand, then return the remaining card to the bottom of your deck. So it's only the top cards, so you have to be pretty stacked with film cards in your deck, but drawing cards in this game is very, very, very rare. So being able to just have it on the leader is fantastic. And for all the archetypes that exist, film is not too bad of an archetype to have, a leader almost restriction to. There's only one 2K in it for at least green, so I think that's like the only short sighting for it right now. But I think it's a very strong effect that lets you, even with you over 4 or 5 turns, even if you draw 3 cards from that, that's pretty good for what this card game does. And this leader has a lot of specific cards that we're going to go over that kind of specifically work for Uta as well. So pretty good, pretty strong from just the read of the card. And we're going to talk about the cards that come with it. So we have the super rare Uta. You only get 2 of these in this set as well, or at least the star deck. It's a 3-drop 4K, 1K power for the counter, and it has blocker, which is pretty nice. And end of turn, you may discard 1 event card from your hand to set up to one of your film type characters as active. There's a lot of good stuff with this, the fact that it is a film, but also it's a 3 cost, which means you get to play it for free off the 7-drop Luffy or the Brook, which Brook really didn't have some fantastic targets. So to be able to play Brook and play a blocker at the same time is really good. There's a lot of times where usually you have like 7-drop Luffy and you need to use it for, as an attack, and then you can bring it back. And even just using Uta for itself, you could put a lot of Dawn underneath it, have a big swing, and if you have an event card that's just kind of dead in your hand, you're able to just set it back up as a blocker, which is kind of nice. So just a really flexible card, and I think it's a nice niche spot for kind of what this deck was missing a little bit, outside of maybe a larger boss monster, but very good for kind of the mid game and has some late game potential as well. And then so the events that come with this star deck too, the ones that I marked with 2, you only get 2 copies of. You again only get 2 copies of this Uta as well. And as you can imagine, the good ones are the ones you get to the I'm Invincible one here at the end. You probably only want to run it at 2 copies anyways. But we have Blacklight, which says main, if your leader is Uta, you can choose one of the below. Rest up to one of your opponent's cost 5 or lower characters, which is pretty much most blockers that exist in the game right now, at least meta-wise. I think Sabo and Queen and 5-drop Useless Kid are like the larger ones that we routinely see at this moment. So being able to pretty much rest any blocker at any given time is a really good spot. Or just being able to KO something for 2, that's a 5 or less. It's a pretty flexible card. I think this is very strong in a lot of situations. Obviously not a lot of tempo for you specifically, but I think it's in a good spot. And luckily it's leader locked to Uta. If you could put this into like eShow or something and get like the cost reduction, this card would be very, very strong, but we don't have that capabilities right now, but still a good one. We also have New Genesis. Main, if your leader's Uta, look at the top 3 cards. Reveal up to 1 film card other than New Genesis, add to your hand. Return the remaining cards to the bottom of your deck in any order. Then you can set up to 1 Rested Dawn as active. So essentially this is just a free search you get to do. It's, again, your leader has to be Uta, but being able to just cycle your deck and have like pretty much a 46 card deck is good. Obviously it's pretty bad in your life, but being able to, sometimes you just want to keep it in hand for, again, like being able to use the Uta effect with it, so you don't have to use it either. But essentially a free search in this leader in a deck that already draws cards means you get some really consistent starts, which is really good. And lastly, I'm Invincible. Mains up to one of your Uta leaders active, so being able to essentially have like a Eustace Kid effect on an event card is pretty good. So you could put 7 Dawn in your Uta, swing 12k, I'm invincible, swing again, you win the game kind of stuff. And you can even use like Blacklight to get rid of like a blocker. So technically you have 3 swings for 10k. If you like, it's only 2, but you force a block for 2. I think that's pretty strong. Has the trigger effect, give up to one of your leaders or characters power plus 1k for the turn. So it's not even super dead if it's like one of the last cards in your life, because you can use the trigger effect to help you just have like a 1k counter for the rest of the turn, and that's kind of good too. So these are fantastic cards, I think, for the deck, and help you out a lot. And compared to most events that kind of exist in this game, these are a lot more flexible in their usage, which is really nice. And so those are just all the new cards we get already, at least in the star deck. So nothing too fancy, but we'll talk about the cards, at least the star deck ratios, in a minute. I do want to go quickly over some other things. So one card that we don't have right now, we're bringing in the Star Deck 12, is this Mihawk, which a lot of people have been using, just kind of like a film spam card. It's also a 2k counter, which is a little bit wild, but being able to say if you have 2 or less characters play up to 1 4 cost or lower Shigeru Kingdom or slash trait character from your hand, then other than Draco Mihawk, rested, and then so you can use it to play Brook. And then Brook says you can play a film or Straw Hat with cost of 3 or less. So you can play 3 and then play a 4 and then play another 3, which is pretty good. That means for 3 Dawn, you technically played 10 Dawn worth of stuff, and you get a lot of value from that. So I've seen that kind of stuff happen for the deck in Japan a little bit. So that's something to kind of look forward to specifically for this deck too. And then also, so during February, we have these Uta deck battles, which give you these packs, which give you these cards too. So we're going to go over it real quick. 3 of the cards are just reprints, are all arts of these cards that we see right here. So technically, like, if you need, I guess you'd still need 2 star decks for the Uta, but you're going to get more extra copies of the 2 cost and 1 cost event card too. But you're also going to get these ones. I'm going to say that these ones are not as good. Some of them are niche, but we're going to go over it super quick. So we have Fleeting Lullaby. If your leader's Uta, choose up 2 of your opponent's rested characters with 4 or less that can be set as active during your opponent's next refresh phase. So it's fine. This is a little bit expensive for what it is, but being able to I don't know if like the cost 4 or less need to happen for it, because it's kind of bricky in its own way, but it's just a card that we can run. We also have Where the Wind Blows. That's for 2. Main if you're leader. Also, I don't know why like this was moved so low, but I think like this is almost like a full art card, which is really fun. Just a little add on that. But if your leader's Uta at the end of your turn, set all your film type characters as active. So kind of like a Bart that's an event card that lets you set everything as active is kind of good. So if you have like a bunch of 7 cost Luffy's, or if you're being aggressive with your blockers and stuff, like you would run this card, and like Uta 3-drop would be able to set one thing active, but instead you could discard this at the end of your turn and set them active. So it does cost 2 to use this effect, but in a deck that likes to just go really wide on board and attack with a lot of things, it's very good. Trigger effect can maybe show up every once in a while, where if you like block with Luffy and then they don't get out of it, and then you can block with it again, but unlikely. We also have World's Continuation. Counter if your leader's Uta, you may return any number of your characters from your board to your hand. For this battle, give it to one of your leaders or characters plus 2k power for each character returned this way. This one I actually think can have a lot of potential. Sometimes we kind of run out of resources late game, and since we're good at like flooding the board again, or just putting cards out, like even like for example, we put out Mihawk, we use the effect, we World's Continuation, put it back into your hand, and then we technically get a 4k with it because we get the 2k from this and the 2k from the Mihawk. So I think that's something that could be pretty good in its own right, and can help you get like just cards, like just like as an emergency button that you need to survive one more turn. So of these 3, I think that one's probably the best one and the most usable one, especially since none of these are counters in their own right. And then 2 other cards, we got Top Musica. Main, you rest one of your Utas, rest up to 2 of your opponent's Dawn, which I don't think is needed as much. It could be like a checkmate against stuff like, I don't know, like Whitebeard or something, but it's not. I don't think we're in a situation in this meta currently where people are leaving their Dawn up enough where this would be relevant, but I could be wrong. And also just this 8-drop 10k Luffy, which honestly it's a vanilla, but vanillas are really good in this game still, and it's a film and a Straw Hat crew card, so heck, it's not too bad. It's like if you want to put this at the top end and be really, really consistent with your leader effect, this is just like an okay card for that too. So those are the new cards from the battle promos. If you guys want those to be added, I'm not going to put them in the decks that we're going to talk about in a minute, but we're just kind of talking about this, star deck in general and everything. So those are all the new cards we want to talk about, and let's go over to the deck list. And here are the deck lists that I have for this. So first, this is the exact ratio of the build that you get in the box. So these are all the cards that you're getting for it. There is the nice add of also like the super rare Luffy, which is quite nice. This card is a super rare in the set. The Nami is not in here, unfortunately, which is probably like the other super rare that makes this package a little expensive. Outside of the Bart, which they probably could have put a copy or two into this deck. I know this is like would have been a really good time to reprint this card since it only really had one printing as a tournament promo pretty much a year ago and hasn't had a printing since, which again, this is a pretty important card for this archetype. So a little bit of a miss for not adding for this one, but I think this is a solid package otherwise. And so in the deck itself, this is not too bad, but you definitely want to do some upgrades. So this is what you get from one box of the star deck. And then again, so this is kind of like my next step build for it. You also do kind of have like a greedier build for it. But with this, the original build, you'll never miss with your leader effect, right? Every one of these cards is a film card, so that means you just draw the top card of your deck whenever you attack with this. With this one, since it includes the leader, we have 44 film cards, so we rarely miss. The only cards I really added that were not film are 4 copies of Ezo, just as like another card as a 2K, but also being able to use its effect to get the rest of something 4 or less to get rid of some blockers, which is quite nice. And then 2 10-drop Don Quixote do Flamingos. If you don't like this card, you can still run like the vanilla Luffy if you want to make it so like you only whiff on Ezos, which is pretty rare. It's a double, wrong though. Like it hurts a lot because like you not only miss the Ezo on the draw, but you lose a 2K that you could have drawn. But otherwise, I think it's pretty fair for what this deck is. And obviously, we add the Nami. I think that's like the one big add that we want for it. We took out some of like the lower end cards, including like the 2-cost Jinbei. And I think this is not too bad for what it is. So I like what this deck build. It's the next step. It has a little bit more oomph, but being like a little bit greedy with like just like a smidge of like, oh, it's okay, I can whiff every once in a while. And throughout a game, if you activate the effect 6 times, if you miss once, you still draw 5 cards, which is pretty good for kind of how One Piece works. So this is my next build. And then if I was actually being a little bit more greedy, so we have 41 film cards in the main, so 42 with the leader. And so we miss like 20% of the time, just under 20%. You could do some more math depending on how many non-hits you already have seen and drawn and stuff. But you kind of make up with it by having the Bonnie, so being able to use this. There are a lot of cards in the deck already that are already supernovas, including the 2-drop Law, including the Bart, including the Zoro, and then we added like the ads of the Scratchman of Pooh, so a searchable 2K is quite nice. We have the Useless Captain Kid as our top end, as well as the we added back the 3-story style Onigiri just because it's a film and a supernova, which helps you get that benefit there. So I think that's not too bad for you. And in general, China, there's going to be asked a question. I generally would probably run 4 Barts every time, but I do know that's a bit of a budget item. So I think if you have 2 or 3, you can definitely still run this leader. I just know that it is expensive for a reason, and I understand the reason for it, but it is a little bit rough for people who don't have those cards. So, but I don't think it's a deterrent from you playing the deck at all. I know that Uta does is like a bigger version of the card too. It's a little bit costlier getting rid of an event in hand, but most of the times these are dead in hand on defense anyways, so I think it makes sense. But that's kind of what I'm talking about for right now. We're going to do some testing on my live stream in the next couple of weeks or so, as soon as I can do some testing with it. But honestly, I think this is a really cool deck, and I know that the film engine's been around for a while, and to be able to revitalize it through the star deck, I think is a really cool idea. So that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys are excited to build with this leader, and I'll catch you all next time.